So
Right.
someone that maybe doesn't have so much natural talent will just have to put a little bit more effort, a little bit more consistency, try a little
Right.
bit harder, but it is absolutely, they have the ability to do that.
My name is Kevin McIntosh, and this is The Closing Table, where we talk to experts about their experience in real estate all across the country. Let's go. All right, now, welcome back to The Closing Table. My name is Kevin McIntosh. Joining us on this episode, I have a very special pleasure of speaking with Miss Josephine Sabatino. How you doing?
Hello, everybody. I'm great. How are you today?
Good. Thanks for asking. Welcome to The Closing Table, where we dig a little bit deep into your experience and your insights as a real estate agent and a top performing agent at that. Let's start off with a little bit of your background. I see you spent some years working in retail management and sales.
I did.
Can we talk about some of the parallels of retail management and sales
Sure.
compared to real estate?
As far as retail sales go, it's always consumer facing. You're always going to deal with people. So that is a major aspect of real estate. So
Right.
if you can do well in that industry, then you can probably do well in real estate, as long as you're a people person. I always tell people, if you are not a people person, real estate is not for you. And you can definitely find that out when you're in retail.
Hmm. You know what's crazy? I'm glad you brought that up, because I've often thought to ask, is there any way to be successful as a real estate agent without really being like outgoing and being a people's person? Can you still be successful?
Yes,
Would
you
your
can.
answer? Oh,
You
okay.
can.
Really?
There are, it's the same way when somebody says that you can override natural ability, or natural talent by consistency. So
Right.
someone that maybe doesn't have so much natural talent will just have to put a little bit more effort, a little bit more consistency, try a little
Right.
bit harder. But it is absolutely, they have the ability to do that. I've seen all different types of people do real estate. People who are people, person, they, comes a little bit more naturally to them. They have a little bit easier time dealing with different personalities and handling
Right.
situations, but anything's possible.
Okay. All right. Good. That's good to know. I was curious. I wasn't expecting that answer, if I'm being honest. I thought it was going to be like, no, you can't do it. But good. All right. There's always a way around it. Josephine, you are currently serving the number one market in America, New York City. That area right there. Oh, I've been in New York once. I've been in that area once. Had a time of my life. That's a whole different story and podcast. But I want you to take this time to talk about, from your experiences, not only a real estate professional in the area, but you also grew up there. So can you talk about some of the unique qualities that the New York City market offers?
New York has everything. It is a melting pot. So there are different cultures, different people. I mean, anything you need, anything you want, it is here. You can find it. Broadway shows in Manhattan and different kinds of food. I mean, no matter what you want or what you're looking for, what you want to experience, there is a place for you to do that. And I loved it because I got to learn so much about everyone and everything else, which is amazing to me. And things that I didn't necessarily grow up with or know through my family, I get to experience that, meet people from all over the world. And it's probably the best aspect about New York City. And I mean, there's all different types of areas too. If you want to be in city area, you can be in, Staten Island is just not as busy city area, but maybe for some places, Staten Island is still like that. Or you could be Manhattan, Brooklyn, there's tons of different parts of Brooklyn just alone. That is, city and so almost suburb, not really. But just it's everything. There's so much to offer here, and you can just do anything that you want. So
it's New York City,
yes.
baby. It's so much. I've been there twice in my life, and I'm telling you, it's so much. No matter how much time you spend there, you can never do everything that that city has to offer. I
Not
mean,
even
you
living
have
here.
different boroughs. You have
Mhm.
like, I mean, oh my goodness, what's not in New York essentially, other
Right.
than the, you know, good weather and the beach consistently. But
You
but
could go
yeah,
upstate and still
yes.
get a farm, but
There you go. There you go. Many things New York has to offer. You like to drive your associates to succeed, and you like to contribute to help them scale their business. Scaling your business, that's a whole different ball game. But what are some of the methods, tools, and advice that you give your associates to help them in their career?
So the one thing that I always tell everybody is to learn one thing at a time, master
Mm,
one thing at a time, because I've seen so many people come into the business and they're like, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to make a social media, I'm going to do a listing, I'm going to do calls, I'm going to do, I mean, like mailers, and they're all over the place and they just want to do everything because there is a lot that you can do to be successful, but
mm-hmm.
no one stays, not no one, but those people, they don't stay focused. So what I tell them is stay focused, you know, pick a market, right? If you really know a specific area, you don't have to do like thousands and thousands of homes, do 200 homes, right? Focus on that. Send mailers to those homes, door knock on those homes, connect with those homeowners. So that way you can master that area. It's a fact that if you have a real estate sign for sale there, most likely you'll see another one on that block and then another one around the corner. So it's
Hmm.
usually best to prospect within the same area, and then you can move on once you master not only what to do, but the people connection, the how to do it, all of that
Right.
stuff. Then you can move on and you can scale. Same thing with social media. People want to, okay, I'm going to make 900 videos a week and I'm going to do this and I'm going to make posts, and then they forget about the other pieces of their business. You have to have a
Mm,
consistent plan, and again, incorporate one thing at a time. You don't have to be on every social media platform. I happen
true.
to really like Facebook and Instagram. They're my favorite. I like YouTube. I like TikTok, but I'm not really a Twitter or a Pinterest person. That's okay. You don't have to be everywhere. I think four is
Right.
enough. Two is enough. One
For
is
real.
enough. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter as long as you do whatever you're going to do consistently.
There you go. You said something about going door. You said knocking on doors.
Door
Now,
knocking.
maybe you were just throwing that in there, but are people? Is that really still a method, going door to door?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. I mean,
Really?
probably in markets where the homes are a lot further apart, it's probably more
Right.
difficult. But in New York City, it's not so bad. You can just walk around the area and you'll see people even outside. And oh hi, I'm Josephine. I'm from the area. I'm your neighbor. By the
Mhm.
way, I'm in real estate. Here's my card. And then you just strike up conversation. I tell people to even speak to other people if you're online in the grocery store. It doesn't matter. No matter where you
Mhm.
are, you talk to every single person around you,
That's real.
no matter what. I mean, even at like school functions, I have kids, I've talked to other parents, conferences, things like that. So you need to grab every opportunity that you can. And the only way you could do that is through meeting other people.
True. 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 Speaking of other people and colleagues and things of that nature, I heard from a birdie that you are respected amongst your colleagues, mainly for your problem solving and leadership skills. Now, I'm not just going to let you slide off that easily, Josephine. People are saying that you have great problem solving and leadership skills, but I need you to tell me, give me an example of facing a problem and how you solved it.
Well, as a manager of agents, sometimes you get complaints. Maybe a seller
Okay.
is not happy or a buyer is not happy. So I do my best to always find out exactly what happened. And sometimes it just comes down to educating both the agent that's involved and potentially the seller or the buyer. For example, we do a lot of co-ops in New York City, and
Yeah.
co-ops need a lot of financial information about the buyers, because it's
Okay.
it's not a real property. You're buying a stock, so everyone is financially responsible together. So they want to make sure whoever comes into the building is going to pay their bills, right? That's the
Right.
deal. So we had an agent that was dealing with the buyer, and he got very upset because the buyer was asking him some personal financial questions. So I got the buyer on the phone myself, and I says, hey, listen, this is how co-ops work. I explained it to them. And then I let the agent be on the call as well so that they can hear how I handled it. So it not only calmed the
Right.
buyer down, they understood. And I had a conversation with the buyer, and just purely through conversation, they told me everything that I needed to know. So that calmed the buyer down. And then at the end, the buyer said, okay, so do you need me to tell you everything? And I said, you already did. And they were like,
Oh, there you go.
I did. And I said,
Yeah,
yeah, just
yeah.
your conversation. And it gave the agent the ability to learn as well, learn how I did it, what I said, so that they can
Mm-hmm.
replicate that in the future, and it will help them.
Hmm.
So
Josephine, co-op. I'm glad you brought that up because I saw this on your YouTube page also, which we will talk about shortly. Co-op, when you said that, I'm thinking of a multi-family home. Or are you talking about a situation with two borrowers? What is a co-op
So
and
there,
why is it
so a
so popular
co-op,
in New York?
so that's another beautiful thing about New York City.
Right.
It is very diverse in the residential commercial market. So we have cooperative units, which is basically a huge building with a bunch of apartments. And instead
Mm.
of a person actually buying real property, they're buying shares in this corporation, which is a co-op. So basically, all the people in that building own it together. So, for instance,
Mm.
if somebody decides to stop paying their mortgage and go into foreclosure, it will reflect on the entire building. It will be a problem
Oh.
and for the building's financials. That's why co-ops, they want to
Whoa.
make sure whoever's coming into the building is financially capable to handle
Oh
whatever it is
my
that they're going to be
goodness.
paying, their
Mm-mm.
maintenance, their mortgage, all that. Condos, it is real property, although it's different apartments and different, in the same building.
Right.
But it does affect the same building, but it is real property. And then you have like multifamily, single family is just owned by one entity, or tenants in common. There's things like that. But the point is, if you went into foreclosure on your multifamily or your single family home, it only affects you. So your
Right.
financials, your home and all this. But in a building, cooperative building, it's much different. So that's why it's very, very different when it comes to the approval process. And co-ops are actually, although cheaper, a lot harder to purchase, which is
Cheaper
crazy
compared to
compared to like a single family home or a multifamily home.
huh.
Yeah.
Okay, so we about to go down a rabbit hole now. I'm so glad I'm talking to you because listen, New York is such an interesting market, and you're the first person from that market I've spoken to. So that's a popular thing in New York. It almost just sounds like an apartment building, but everybody has some type of ownership in it,
Yes.
in a sense, which is a good thing. You're building equity, but the fact that you have to rely on other people to actually be responsible adults.
Yes.
No, I don't think I can do that. Like, that's a scary thing to deal with. So if one or two people decide, or if a situation happens with them where they lose their job and they're unable to pay their part of the mortgage, that affects everybody in
Yes.
this building.
That's why
Oh
they
no,
they make sure like people
no, no,
have reserve funds. They, so that if something like that does happen, they have the ability to continue paying until they
nah.
can, get a new job. It's fun. The co-op market is fun. Anybody that you ever talk to in the future that does co-ops, they can tell you how much fun co-ops are.
So is this a more popular or common thing in the inner city, or is it the suburbs, or is it a downtown?
No, it's in the
What
city
is it?
because the all those buildings are in the city. So like Manhattan
Mm,
has tons of co-ops all over the place. Brooklyn has a lot of co-ops. Staten
mm.
Island not so much. The Bronx has co-ops. Queens has some, but I would say like Manhattan probably has the most out of all of them because there's a lot of big buildings over there. And it's the
Okay.
most affordable option in New York City is a co-op.
I would
Um,
imagine so, because I know it's not cheap to live in New York. I can tell you that much.
no, no.
So this is the alternative to that.
And even so like the same price for a one bedroom co-op, let's say in Brooklyn, you can get
Please.
a single family in New Jersey, let's say, like an entire single family house, or a one bedroom co-op in Brooklyn. That's yeah.
Why would people what?
I
Why
mean,
would you
people,
even want
there's a
to
lot of conveniences, right? So,
I
if
guess.
somebody, they don't really care about driving because a lot of the
Right,
co-ops
right,
don't come
right.
with parking, so most people that have co-ops, either they're going to circle and circle and circle till they find a spot, they'll rent a
Mm.
spot, or they won't have a car. But that's the beauty of New York City. You don't always need a car, right? You can take the
Yeah, yeah,
train, you
yeah,
can take the bus. There's alternatives, but you're in New Jersey, you're going to need a car, right? You're in
right, right.
Pennsylvania, you need a car sometimes to just go to your mailbox, so that's totally
Okay.
different area, but
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the beauty of it, and some people love that, so
That's cool. Yeah, sorry I got off track. We
that's
got to get back on
okay.
course, but I had to. And I'm starting to hear your New York accent, by the way, which I love. I love the accent. I'm walking here. I
I
just always
know.
want to say that.
Everybody,
All
when I
right.
go away, like on vacation, I talk to everybody. Like we go to Disney a lot, and I'm waiting in
Word.
line and I talk to people, and they're like, "Oh, I'm from here, I'm from there," and I'm like, "Oh, I'm from New York." They're like, "We know," and I'm like,
Yeah, yeah,
"Okay."
they
Do
hear
I
the New
do
York.
I get
Yeah.
offended? I don't know.
No, I love it. I love it. I love it. So you say you're a good leader, or at least your colleagues claim that you are.
I
So what
try.
are some good qualities that make you or anyone a great leader?
I mean, just listening to people. That's going to make you a good agent, a good leader, a good person, because most people want to talk about themselves and talk and talk and talk instead of listening to someone else. And you'll find out everything that you need to know by just listening to other people.
Mm-hmm.
People don't always outright tell you what the real story is, whether that is a buyer or seller that you're working with, or whether that's me as an office manager dealing with an agent. Maybe they're saying like, "Oh, I can't do this calling stuff. I can't do this. I keep failing on the listing
Mm,
presentation." But there's more to it, right? Maybe they needed help learning how to do better comparables. Maybe they needed role playing with scripts and things like that to make them more
right.
comfortable when they're on a presentation or dealing with someone in person. So you kind of have to pull the layers off. You have to learn how to pull the layers off and get to really like the root of the problem. I always joke that like real estate professionals are also like therapists in a way. Like there should be a class like that
Yeah.
incorporated into getting your real estate license as therapy, because you deal with so much, not only as a
Yeah.
leader but as an agent. I mean, you're dealing with people, and
Mm-hmm.
this is the biggest transaction of their lives most of the time. Most of the time, unless they are just like they have money flying from the sky, this is the biggest thing they're ever going to purchase or they're ever going to
Right.
sell and then repurchase. So this is not for the faint of heart. Like you need to really know what you're saying. You need to know what you're doing. You have to have people around you that rely on you. So I like to be that for my agents. They need to know that they can come to me, ask me questions. They can trust me with anything that they're telling me. So,
Mm-hmm.
I want to see them succeed. It makes me happy to see them succeed.
There you go. And the key thing that I took away from that is listening,
Yes.
asking the right questions and listening. We got 2 ears and 1 mouth.
Hmm.
Listen twice as much as you talk.
Yes,
That was beautiful. All right.
exactly.
So you were mentored by I don't want to pronounce his name
Michael
wrong.
Napolitano.
Thank you. By Michael, Mr. Michael. And you acquired a lot of knowledge from him over 9 years or so. What are some of the key pieces of information that you got from your mentor that you actually practice frequently?
And everything about real estate. The probably one of the biggest things is not to give up so quickly. I've
Mm-hmm.
seen a lot of people just give up. They're just like, "Oh, this is too difficult. I'm not gonna be able to work out this issue," or the seller is never going to want to list with me, or someone is being too difficult. I'm not going to be able to get them to the finish line. And I've seen people give up. And that is something that it's just probably not even in his vocabulary to give up. So that's something that I definitely learned from him when it comes to like the real estate aspect of things.
Right, right.
Um, you know, uh, always staying educated is another one. So the real estate market changes on a daily basis. There's always new technology, new things you can say, innovations, new companies. There's so many things that are happening. There's AI all over the place. I mean, there's new websites, new all the time. There's just new. So you always want to stay educated. New laws is a huge one. So you always have to make sure you're staying compliant. So
Mm-hmm.
staying educated, going to conferences, meeting other brokers, meeting other agents, just meeting other industry professionals. Because not only is that a networking opportunity for you, but it's also an educational opportunity for you. You can always
Mm,
learn something from someone else, no matter what.
correct. Yeah,
So those are the biggest
100%.
things, I think.
100%. Yeah, I think you could take that knowledge and apply that to almost anything also. Those are good things to
Yeah,
learn. You
exactly.
currently serve or you used to serve, I'm not sure, as office manager, director of sales for Remax Edge. Is that a
Still
current
there,
position?
still
There
doing
it
it.
is.
So
There it is. Congratulations.
thank you, thank you. So we were, Michael was an individual agent. I was his assistant. I got my license. I used to work with him doing the sales, the buys, the lists. Then we started a team. Then we opened a brokerage, and so now he owns the brokerages. We currently have 4 offices. We're opening a fifth,
Mm.
and I manage the agents for. So I get to do all the fun things like
Hey,
help educate people and help deal with all the problems that come in, real estate
big
life.
boss lady energy. I love
Yeah,
it.
yeah, exactly.
So, what are some of your responsibilities in that role specifically?
So basically, what I do is I help agents when they have a
Mm-hmm.
problem. Like I mentioned before, if somebody's upset and they need somebody to talk through it with them, perhaps give them advice on how to handle the
Mm-hmm.
situation, get attorneys on the phone, mortgage brokers on the phone, buyers, sellers. I also do a lot of classes and training, and I educate the agents so that they can handle real estate. We teach them how to do listing
Right.
presentations, how to qualify buyers, to know when someone is ready to buy and someone is not ready to buy. What they can do to nurture people, how they can handle
Mm.
marketing, like all the different aspects of real estate. And then also, basically, I'm like the mama bear of the
There it
house.
is. There it is. That's good energy to have, I bet.
Yeah,
So I want to dive into your YouTube content since we did talk about that briefly earlier.
sure.
You have content on social media on YouTube specifically that ranges from being a buyer's agent to dealing with the co-ops in New York to literally going step by step through the entire real estate process or home buying process. Can you just talk about the value that your YouTube content brings to your brand?
Yes. So, Remax as a brand, because we're with
Mhm.
Remax. I mean, it's the number one recognized brand. But us, we also have our personal brand, right? Because there are different Remax offices and everything is individually owned and
Mm.
operated. So what makes us different? Right. The major thing that makes us different is that we already have a lot of that content. We've recorded it. We do classes on Zoom and in person for our agents. So a lot of the things that we put on YouTube are there for people that are maybe not with us yet, right? So they can experience us. They can see what our value is. Because what's the difference of going to this office or that
Right.
office? You want to be around people who are knowledgeable. You want to be able to learn new things where you go and have the support that you need. To again excel your business. So on YouTube, we have a couple of things that we do some classes that we've recorded and then we put them on there. And I like to just do I like to do
Right.
video. So I like to do content for everyone that even if they're just thinking about getting into real estate and they're like, mind's blown, like, oh my gosh, this is what it's like to be in real estate. I have to know that. Like you said, wow,
Yeah.
co-ops, what? Say that
Mhm.
again, and I've had conversations with people about what it's like to be in real estate. And I'm like, hey, check out the YouTube channel. When a lot of newer agents come to us and they're like, okay, I don't know anything about real estate. I just got my license or I'm thinking about getting my license. here's the YouTube channel. Check that out. We have one for our office. I have a personal one. And there's just tons of content on there that you can go through and just be able to
Right.
experience what is real estate really like, what happens in real estate.
Right.
So,
So if I'm being honest,
yeah.
when I saw the content on your YouTube channel, I guess the way it's titled, or maybe it's just my assumption, I thought the videos were for maybe the buyer and or seller of the potential property, but you're really speaking for the audience of, like you said, potential real estate agents or realtors who are looking to get into the business and handle specific situations. Okay.
Yes. Sometimes I do content that is specifically for a buyer or
Mm-hmm.
a seller. And I've had some of my agents share my content because they're doing a lot of content or they want to post a lot of things for buyers
Right.
and sellers. So I do it that way as well. So it's kind of a
Oh, okay.
mix.
Okay. That's good to hear. That's good to hear.
Mm.
It's very cold. We getting some on and off snow, and even California's getting snow. But anyway, I know New York gets hit pretty
I
hard during the
know.
winter. So I know that has to have an effect on the real estate market. So how do you continue to drive leads and sales during what we would consider, I guess, a relatively slow season?
So, I never like to say that a season is
Mm-hmm.
slow. I like to say that there are different things happening in every season. If somebody says, should I list my house in the winter? Oh, but spring is the better time. Actually, you have less
Correct.
competition in
Correct.
the winter, so you're actually better
Yeah.
off listing in the winter because then you won't have five other houses just like yours on the
Mm-hmm.
market. Because then that will be more competitive on your price. If somebody's coming out to see a house in the winter, they're more likely to be serious versus somebody that's just kind of, window shopping in the summer. Oh, well, let's just go to this open house. We could go look at five houses. If you're going out in like 20-degree weather or 10-degree weather, I would really like to say that you're
For
serious
real.
about going and
Yeah.
buying a house because otherwise you're going to stay inside. Um, there's other opportunity for these slower
Mm-hmm.
times. So like in the winter, I tell everybody to go through all of their CRM, their customer relationship
Mm-hmm.
management system, whatever it is that they're using. We use KV Core. So go through that, call all of those people and just check in on them. How are you doing? How's it been? If they bought through you already, how's your
Right.
new home? Do you know anybody that's buying or selling? If you need any advice, I'm here for you. Look at your campaigns, do business planning for the following year. You should never, ever, ever say that you have
Right.
nothing to
Right. For
do
sure.
or that it's
Mm-hmm.
slow because there's always something to do,
Yeah.
always. So there's plenty of things that you
I'm
could do.
glad you looked at it like that. That's one of those glass half empty, half full things. It's all about perspective. You can look
Yeah,
at it as, okay, there's not many homes to sell right now. What am I going to do? Or you could take that time to prepare yourself, do some research, and maybe dig into potential
right.
leads and things of that nature.
Right. Update your
Correct.
presentation. So if you are calling people and they say, okay, you know what, I am going to be ready, but not for like 3 months, boom, you put it in your calendar, call this person in 3 months. But when you're like the spring season, they say is, the busiest. If you're out there showing homes every day and you're busy and you're going on presentations and just you're out in the field, when are you going to have time to do all that
Correct.
other stuff?
Correct.
So now's
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah. Got to do the maintenance. Got to do the maintenance.
Exactly. Exactly.
New York City. I just love it so much. I love saying it. I can't wait to come back, by the way. Before we end, I need you to give some advice to anyone who could potentially look to move towards the number one market in the country where a lot of dreams are made. People may have these big aspirations. I mean, I'm being serious. Like New York is, I mean, besides
Yeah.
Hollywood, people come to New York to really make things happen. So
Yes.
what would be your number one piece of advice for anyone who's looking to move to New York City?
I mean, I think you just have to be ready. I don't think you're ever going to be ready, maybe
Mm,
100%, but know what you're getting yourself into. Definitely visit. Uh, as far as if you are a buyer or a seller, I would do your homework. figure out where it is that you have interest on moving to. So let's say that you need access to trains or buses because you're going to travel to
Mm-hmm.
work. So, in that respect, just know where it is, have an idea of where you want to move
Right.
to, but then also go with someone that you trust, like a good real estate agent, that can help you find the right place. So if you tell them, okay, I really like Brooklyn, but I need to be near a train, things like that, then they can, help guide you as far as, okay, great, this house is by this train. What train do you need to be near? Okay, this is the line, things like that. And just price point wise, all of that stuff. Like, you really need to be with somebody that you can trust. As an
Mm.
agent, if you're, people think that they're going to get into real estate, like, oh, I'm going to go to New York and I'm going to be in real estate and I'm going to make $1 billion, like, that's
That's
just
not gonna happen. I'm sorry.
unrealistic. you know it's like, well, because they watch like $1 Million
Right.
Listing, and then they're like, they think that this is like a TV show, and it's not.
Right.
So on that end of things, I would say be realistic with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you need to put in the work. Like, there is no one that is successful that is, they just woke up one day and they were successful. It
Yeah,
just doesn't
that's a
work like
fact.
that. So you have to be willing to put the work in. And work does not mean I'm going to watch one YouTube video and now I'm a real estate agent and I worked for the day. No, you have to make the calls. You have to go on the appointments. You have to do the
Correct.
hustle of real estate. People think that it's easy. It's actually not. It's the opposite. You end up, they say real estate agents have, they have all this free time. But all the real estate agents that I know, they're
Correct.
working. They usually work 7 days a
Mm-hmm.
week, 6 days a week, 6.5 days a week. I mean, and they are out there, they're doing appointments. That phone, it's
Yeah.
on. That phone is on. They're taking calls on vacations while they're with their family. And I'm not saying that you have to be accessible at like 1 o'clock in the morning if your buyer calls you. Obviously, there's some boundaries, but the point is, you have to be able and willing to put the
Correct.
work in. And then you can be successful. Listen, sky is the limit. You
Yeah.
got it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You heard it here first from a New York native. And I think any and everybody can agree with this. And Josephine, I want you to finish this part if I'm saying this right. If you can make it in New York,
If you can make it there, you'll
you
make
can
it
make it anywhere,
anywhere.
baby. You can make it anywhere. Appreciate you for joining us here on the closing table, Josephine. Thank you so much for your time. Before we get
Thank
out
you.
of here, if you have any last words and or want to tell the people how they can reach out to you, please do so now.
Sure. You can reach out to me. I'm all over social media. If you just Google my name, you'll find me, I'm sure. But J.O. Sabatino 13, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook,
Yeah.
TikTok.
Yeah,
I'm all
yeah.
over.
Nice, nice. Thank you again for joining us. Hey, if you got this far, YouTube video watchers, I need you to do us a favor. Hit the like button, please, and thank you. Also, hit the share button and subscribe to our channel. And if you're listening on Apple, Spotify, any other podcast platforms, please do the same. Give us a like, give us a 5-star rating, and subscribe so you can get caught up with our latest content. Josephine, we got to leave the audience with a question before we get out of here with every episode. This is new. If you live or lived in New York, how was your experience living in a co-op if you ever lived in one? And if you never lived in New York or lived in a co-op, would you live in a co-op where you share the mortgage payments with other residents? Oh, I don't think I'm built for that. Let me know what you think. Go off in the comments below. Other than that, we'll see you next time.